Hey, stat students, I hope you are using the videos on Khan Academy or the textbook to help you through this assignment. But if those are not helpful, I'm going to go over a couple of examples for you so that we can get you on the right track when we talk about distinguishing between population and sample. So what's the key? There's a definition here. So when we think about population, it says that that's the entire group of individuals we want information about. And then a sample would be the subset of individuals in the population from which we collect data. So those are the people that we actually get the data on. We take a little smaller group from the population and we collect the data from those people. That's the sample. Okay. So when we think about actually identifying and like actually writing out and saying which is the population, which is the sample, you want to think about first, like a population, you must kind of like in a problem like this, you'd actually identify what the sample was that they took. And then that would then dictate to you where they took it from, who or what they took it from, right? So, so a hint here is to like just replace the words for the sample, like the number of people that they took for the sample, with the word all. So if they took a sample of 40 thread rods, like here, you would just, instead of saying 40 for the population, you would say all threaded rods, okay? But there's more to this problem. So let's read the whole thing, okay? So starting with the beginning here, a factory overseer selects 40 threaded rods at random from these produced, oh my gosh, sorry. All right, something's going on with my computer. Okay, let's start over. We're starting right there. A factory overseer selects 40 threaded rods at random from those produced that week at the factory. Then she tests their tensile strength, whatever that is. All right, we're identifying the population and the sample here. Okay, so what does it say? The sample is 40 threaded rods, okay? Right, but it's selected from those produced that week at the factory. So that part is important also. So when I think about the population, I'm going to say, instead of 40, I'm going to say all. But then we're still going with threaded rods from those produced that week at the factory. So when we go through our options here, first one, the population is all threaded rods ever produced at the factory, and the sample is the threaded rods produced that week. Well, we only selected them from that week, so we're not going to go beyond that week when we talk about the population. Okay, so this is no good. All right. Part C, the population is all threaded rods in the world. Did we take this sample out of the world? No, it was only at that factory. So that part's important too to pay attention to. So just stick with the language that's given in the problem. And we'll say then for part B, the population is threaded rods produced at the factory that week. Just like the language we saw when we talked about the sample. And then the sample is going to be the 40 that were selected. Okay, so your answer here is in fact B. Check. Okay, so pay attention to the language they use when describing the sample, because that tells you the larger group that they took from, and that's your population. All right, so there's that. All right, when you go through these Khan Academy assignments, make sure that you're using the videos to help you. Okay, so let me see if I can scroll down here. All right, so if this isn't like a problem that you're stuck on, right, you haven't looked at the video, they usually have the link here to tell you watch a video. It's not always there, so you might have to go back and look at some of the pre-videos that they have in the main menu. But that's there, right? So you can click on that, go through the video. In this case, it's not too long. Do that one first, because if you look at the video and it starts to click now, you still have an opportunity to get full points on that problem, all right? But if the video doesn't help you, that's okay. You can still go and get a hint, okay? So think about looking at the hint and then giving the problem a shot. Now, if you use the hint, you don't get credit for that problem, but you can always go back and redo the problem set. There's only 4, so it doesn't take too long, right? All right. You can also give it a shot yourself, right? If you get it wrong the first time, use that as a learning opportunity, right? So the first one's incorrect. Go back and be like, oh, maybe I just wasn't reading carefully enough, or now I get what they're trying to ask. Again, you won't get credit, but you will have a better understanding so that if you want to get the full points, you can always come back. Okay, so use those as your guide when you answer these questions so that you get the most out of this activity.